Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you on the screen. Other pairs will be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. So make sure you do stay to the end to find out which pair that is. But yeah, guys, we'll get to my trades first for the week, and then we'll progress into analyzing for next week in a second. So if there is a particular pair you want to jump ahead to, feel free to use the timestamps down below. But yeah, I only had one position this week, USD, which was a loss. Again, I wasn't really too active looking to place trades this week because we had big events on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday this week, so difficult to find some good entries without running the risk of just getting wicked out. And it was good I did, because I knew if I did take some of the trades I was looking at, I definitely would have been stopped out due to news, just fluctuating and taking me out the trade. So I only had one trade this week. USD was looking to go. Well, I did go long, not going to say I was looking to go long. I did go long on this one, had an entry around here on the hourly time frame. So it was this candle here, it was long on this candle there, stop loss just a few pips, giving myself some nice breathing room, but unfortunately the market did take a tumble to the downside, and it looks like we are having a bit of a reversal here for USD. We had this range, looking to trade the range for another push to the upside, back into around this area. I wasn't looking for the full push, but the market was too bearish, broke through the support and continue going lower. So it looks like we could be going a lot lower for USD. The fact that we are getting this reversal price action, but again, we'll do more analysis on this one during my stream, so feel free to take a look at those during the week. But yeah, we're back to EURUSD. So EURUSD this week, we did see some downside, which we were expecting. The market did roll over after that nice fake out from that price swing high there on the left. So we're looking at this being the fake out and price rolling over. So we did see the downside again. You can see there, big wick to the upside, taking out a lot of liquidity above these lower highs on the 4H, and then a big dump to the downside. However, we did take a big reversal due to NFP, big push to the upside, snapping through these lower highs with that trend line there. So it looks like USD could be forming potentially another higher low for another swing back into these highs here. I was looking for this to be a bit of a bear flag pattern. So we've got impulse, correction 1, correction 2, and then the continuation. However, the bearish momentum has died, and then we picked up quite strong with these bulls here, especially with this strong down move followed by slight consolidation and strong up move. Normally when you get an impulse and an impulse in the opposite direction, it's normally a fake move in the market. The majority of time the market moves with an impulse correction, then another impulse, doesn't impulse back and impulse back the other way. Normally those are a fake out to the market. So we could be seeing a bit of a fake move here, taking out these lows here, trapping some sellers here, and now the market's pushing up again. So we could be looking at price pushing back into these highs up here at 1.00800. So for EURUSD into next week, I'll be looking for some type of correction for us to get the push to the upside into that level. You could look for the safer bet, which is wait for price to get back above the resistance here at 0.99800. If we get above this, then there's a pretty high chance we do get back to those highs there. But from this analysis, I'll be expecting some type of correction down lower and then the continuation back up again. So I might try and look to maximize my risk reward, getting a little earlier down there. I'm not too sure exactly what level. There's a nice area here, but I'm not too sure if we retrace there. If we don't and we start pushing to the upside, then I'll just wait for the break and retest above that level there anyway. But EURUSD for next week, I'm looking at that big push to the downside followed by that big move back up as a bit of a fake out. Now we could be seeing the market pushing back into these highs there, so we'll be looking for long opportunities going into next week. Also had a quick look of the DXY as well, and it's looking the exact same as EURUSD, so I will be expecting some weakness in the dollar as well, which could affect other pairs that we'll analyze in a second. But EURUSD, I'm looking at push back up into that price swing high then left at 1.008. Areas of interest, break above 0.99800 for the retest, or pull back into 0.98798. That would be nice for some longs. But yeah, expecting some more upside for EURUSD into next week. Okay, so now on to USD JPY. So for this pair this week, we did see some slight upside. I was looking for the market to come back into these highs here, but did manage to do that. The market came up, formed a lower high, came back down and formed another lower high shortly before the weekly candle closed, as you can see here. So this is not a good sign for USD JPY. It does mean that most likely we're going to see another move to the downside first before maybe going bullish later, because higher time frames are still looking pretty bearish, but we could be in that bit of a correctional phase right now before looking to push higher. Like I've been saying, I'm still looking at a retest of this structure here, which could be where the higher low forms. So for USD JPY 145, 144, 500, I'm looking for one more test of that level. We came pretty close back here, but since the momentum is failing here, I do expect to see us sell off to the downside. So on the lower time frames like hourly and 30-minute, I do think there'll be some nice shorts into next week. Areas of interest, we could be looking at 147, 600, maybe even this high as well. But yeah, I'm not really looking at the shorts for this one. I'm still very much a bull of USD JPY, so I'll be waiting to see if we can get back down here. But on the lower time frames for you day traders out there, could be some nice shorts here for this one. Take it back to the downside into this level. Again, don't necessarily have to have the target down there. There's some support here as well where these wicks are collecting. Might want to just look at trading into that area again. With shorts, we are still counter trend trading, so try not to push the trades too far and be too aggressive with your entries. But with me, with USD JPY, I'm still bullish overall. So if you can get a push into 145, 400 into that area, we'll be looking for some long opportunities to take it back up again, and probably just where that trend line kind of meets us into that kind of area will be the target. Maybe if things look good, I might try and stretch the trade, maybe back to 150, but we'll see. We'll play it by price action, how it develops. But that's what I'll be looking at for USD JPY this week. Firstly, some downside. Let's see if dollar weakness impacts this market as well. Obviously JPY will play its part, but yeah, looking for some temporary downside for some buys later on. Okay, so now on to USD CAD. So USD CAD this week, big move to the upside, followed by an even bigger move back down again. The market's been a little bit hectic. We did have a bullish bias coming into the week. We were holding onto our swing low here. We had the swing high, swing low, then new swing high up there. You can see the market is respecting that area, so we did favor another push to the upside. However, it was short-lived. The market came back down. NFP, CAD strength, and obviously price took a big dive there, breaking through that structure as well. So what next for USD CAD? I do still expect some more downside. We have had a pretty strong impulsive bearish move here, so I do want to see some correction first. The upside, you don't really want to be shorting underneath here. The market could go down, yes, but you don't really want to be shorting at the bottom of an impulse or going long at the top of impulse. One price to have its correction before looking to enter the market. And areas of interest for targets, we've got 1.342-ish around there. We've also got this area here, 1.33250 around here as well. So those will be the targets I'll be looking at. Again, the real targets, we do have some key support resistance down here, but we do have to take into account these levels because the market could still go bullish at these areas. So USD CAD, I want to see some correction. As for areas to actually look to trade from, I'm looking at these price swing lows here was support, now we turn resistance. Get a pullback into one of these two areas. We'll look for some short opportunities to take USD CAD back down. Like I said, had a look at the DXY. It's looking like we could see some more weakness for the dollar, so that should take USD CAD down with it. And targets, we've got 1.342 and also 1.33 250 as well. So that's what I'll be looking at for USD CAD. Nice break of structure. Now simply just waiting for that correction to take it back down again. And 1.35400, 1.35800 will be my areas of interest going into next week. Okay, so now on to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound this week, big move to the upside here, which was unexpected for me. I was looking for price to roll over to the downside. We had this beautiful bearish structure there, so I was looking for us to continue. However, Bank of England, we had news come out for the pound. We saw a lot of weakness, and obviously that causes Euro Pound to rise. So yeah, on Thursday there, we were trading at that level, holding it a few times, and then big push to the upside, snapping through that level. So Euro Pound is a little bit corrected, but it looks like we could be forming some critical support here for the market to go higher. Again, the market is quite choppy, so I wouldn't look to push the trade further than these levels up here, 0.88400, and even this resistance here as well. I'll look at taking profit at. But Euro Pound, I'm looking at some more upside for this one. So if you can get a correction back down again, I'm looking at this being a nice level to go long from. You can see where the impulse, correction, impulse. So if you can come back and retest the support, could see some buyers step back in to take it higher. And again, looking for a push to 0.88, we'll call it 0.88 and also 0.88400. But euro pounds had really strong moves to the downside, but failing to continue lower. And now we're seeing some impulsive bullish momentum come back in. So it looks like we could be looking at forming a bottom potentially. One drive, second drive, third drive. Now we could be looking to snap bullish and need some nice targets to look to take profit at, just in case we do come straight back down again. But euro pound for next week, expecting some more upside, some more bullish momentum. First, do want to see a correction because we are trading into this resistance here. So there could actually be some short-term sales actually for euro pound at this 0.87800, we'll call it. But yeah, I'm not really looking for sells in euro pound after this move here. Looking to see if we can push that move further, hopefully get some correction to the downside into this 0.87 level, then buys back up to those highs there for euro pound for next week. Okay, so now on to AUD/USD. So this week we did see some nice downside, followed by, again, the big push to the upside after NFP. So we were bearish on this pair, looking for a move to the downside. I was talking about price coming back down to these lows here. However, as you can see, we've had some strong rejection here and the market's come back up. So again, looking at this big push to the downside, followed by this big move to the upside, there's a bit of a fake out, taking out these lows here. Again, attracting some sellers. Now price is gaining momentum to the upside. So I do expect to see AUD/USD continue probably back to these highs up here, maybe even take those highs out like we saw with the USD CAD, obviously, but reverse. I do think there'll probably be some short-term sales coming into these highs. So back into that high there, I do think there'll be some short-term sales. Don't push it too far because we've tried to roll over a few times now, and each time we see the buyers step back in. So most likely we'll come into this level, see some downside, and the buyers will probably come back in and take it further, and that's just if we react to that level, of course. So I'm expecting some short-term sales here, but hopefully we can get some correction. As for area for buying opportunities, looking at this level here, 0.63800, we might form some support midweek and use that to push to the upside. So again, when I do give out these levels, I'm looking at the current price action, but we could see some new levels print, which could be even better buy opportunities or sell opportunities. So do you need to stay up to date and monitor price action, which obviously I do have live streams, so you can check those out if you want to see what I'm looking at as the week progresses. But as for now, this is the only level we would be willing to buy from unless the market starts to create a level during the week. Potentially some sales like there. Again, I'm not really too interested. I do think we'll probably see some more weakness in the dollar, which I do expect AUD/USD to react bullish to and see some more upside. And like I said, maybe take out these highs down the left at 0.65400. So that's what I'm looking for AUD/USD. Some pullbacks, hopefully back to 0.63843. Looking for the next high low for some buys to the upside. Okay, so now on to NZD CAD this week. So still pushing to the upside. I was looking for sell opportunities this week. I was talking to you guys about price potentially breaking back underneath this level here. We did break through these structural highs down the left. You can see that was our last lower high in the market. Gave us that low. The market did break above that point. So I did want to see the market break some structure to the downside before I look for sells. However, we respect that support and we continued higher. Then we came into a nice level on the daily chart where we had that big wick off the back of interest rates on Wednesday. And then we did see some downside. However, the market looks like it's still failing to roll over and could have just printed another higher low. You can see these wicks here. The market's trying to break past this point, but failing to do so. And then off the back of NFP, market still pushing higher. So NZD CAD, I'm still a seller of this market. I'm still looking for sell opportunities, but it might mean the market wants to push higher first and take out this wick before we do have that bigger rollover. Again, I'm still looking at these areas here being my areas of interest. Also, it does flip into that level of support and even that support there as well. So I'm still looking around that 8.0500 mark for that lower high to form. But we might want to have one more stab at it before we look at seeing some nice signs of reversal. So I'm going to leave this up here. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to sell up there, but that's where I'm going to be looking for my entries. Right now, the 4H structure is still bullish. So if you're on the short term, lower time frames, hourly, 30-minute, your best chance of looking for buys. Price most likely will go back and take out that wick there before we do get a bigger move to the downside potentially. So maybe for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, even probably see some nice buys in lower time frames before we do get the sales later on in the week up at that level where I'm going to look for signs of reversal. So 0.80500 is my area of interest. I'll be monitoring for signs of reversal. As of right now, everything's still bullish for NZD CAD, so still expecting it to push on, but we'll watch out for some sell opportunities around that area for next week. Okay, so now on to pound NZD. So pound NZD melted this week. I was actually looking for it to sustain that bullish momentum that we had at the end of last week, for it to continue bullish, but it broke through that level, then definitely validated the pattern by breaking through the neckline here of this head and shoulder pattern here, getting us that full reversal here. Big momentum to the upside, consolidation, reversal, big momentum back down again. So if I quickly go into the weekly time frame, you can see we had our key levels. This is really what I've been referencing a lot for pound NZD since we've just been in a big range. Really was looking for us to push back to these highs here, however failed. Now we've had a huge snap of that level. Most likely we're going to see that momentum continue into the lows here around the 1.89 1.88 mark. So all we're looking for pound NZD is some correction. This area here is drawing my interest. It would be better if we could obviously see a retest of the neckline, back at these areas here. I'm not too sure if we'll do that. We do have a lot of bearish momentum in the market. Might just see a push into that level, then we get the continuation. But if we do see a retest the neckline, that's obviously going to be a great place to look to go short and take advantage of that momentum in the market. But from a buyer standpoint, looking for us to return back down to 1.89, 1.88. Areas of interest, we've got the neckline level here at 1.96. And also this area here at 1.935. So that's what I'm going to be looking for pound NZD going into next week. Okay, so now on to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen is forming a little bit of a range here, but we do know momentum still with us to the upside. We're still trading above that critical level on the daily time frame. So we have a price swing high in the market. Before we formed this high up there, you can see was resistance over there, now support, bunch of wicks around this area, so a lot of rejection on the daily time frame. Most likely we're going to see the market push back into 110 up there before potentially breaking out, going higher. Again, higher time frames still showing a lot of bullish momentum. There's not a lot stopping us from seeing some new highs past the 110 mark, but for next week we're just going to be looking at trading it to 110. I'm not going to be too greedy there. So if you are looking at getting into CAD Yen, two areas of interest. We do have resistance here. The market had a bit of a fake out of, was it last week or the week before? I think last week. Yeah, we opened up here. So last week, bit of a fake out above this high. If we can get a break above that, retest of that, it could be some nice buys into 110. Or if we simply just see another continuation to the low of the range, then the buys up there will make a lot of sense there as well. So for me, CAD Yen, bullish bias, higher time frames looking very, very good. Still a lot of wicks on the daily time frame. As you can see, rejecting that level there, giving us a clear sign that the daily chart most likely will push high as well. If we do come back into this area, most likely daily will leave us another wick. So you can look to anticipate that or wait for the breakout of that resistance, retest. Again, the retest is important because this time we had a fake out there. So retest and then the continuation is to 110. But in terms of bias, it's definitely bullish until we break through 107,500. If we break through that, that's when I reanalyze the pair and possibly look for some sell opportunities. But right now, bullish bias for CAD Yen. So break and retest above 108,900, or a retest of the low of the range 107,500. Full buys back up to 110 for next week. Okay, so now onto pound USD. So again, similar price action to euro. We had the high over here, the market faked, and then a big dump to the downside after that fake out. Again, obviously the interest rates helped, and obviously Bank of England as well. But it looks like the market could be placing potentially a higher low. See form support, retested there with NFP with that wick. Strong momentum to the upside. I still do think sellers will probably look to step in around this area here. You can see some nice resistance on the left. Also this consolidation. So I do think pound probably will struggle a little bit, but I do expect us to probably break out from that point and push back to these highs here. If you want to play it safe, similar to EURUSD, wait for a break above this high here, because this is what the market faked. So if the market really does want to go bullish, it should get back above this level now at 1.14800. And from that, we can expect the market to rally again and probably push through this point as the targets. Beyond that, not too sure. There's this high there, another high there, but I'll probably just look at 1.17, nice psychological level, or just simply look to take your profits coming into that high there. there's a strong chance the market could come back down, because the market is still bearish on the higher time frames. Let's not forget that the market is still bearish, but right now we're seeing a bit of a counter trend move to the upside, so we can still take advantage of those buys, but again, not trying to be too greedy with them. So get a correction to the downside. Again, no real clear point for me. Possibly this low here, market might form a support during the week again, similar to the USD, and then look to buy from that. But pound USD, I'm focusing on the buys this week. Like I said, 1.14 might be some nice shorts to start the week off, but I do expect us to start rallying again towards the end of the week. So get above 1.14900, break and retest, buys back to those highs up there, or pull back into 1.12800, retest that low, could be some nice buys back up to those swings there. So that's the plan going ahead for pound USD. Okay, so now on to pound CAD. So pound CAD this week, big rollover to the downside. We were looking for a big push to the downside for this one, coming into that high. We had the first drive, second drive, and the third drive, and we knew that most likely the market's going to probably fail at these highs and look to roll over, since we still do have that higher time frame trend, which is still seeing a lot of bearish momentum. So pound CAD, strong move into that support. I do favor a bit of retracement now after this strong push to the downside. You can see pretty strong impulsive break of this level. I'm looking to see if we can get a retracement potentially back to those highs. Again, it's a little bit of an ask, but we might only come as far as this resistance here. But I'm still looking at sells for pound CAD back down into 1.51. So looking at something like this for pound CAD for some sell opportunities. Again, we've had that break of structure in the 4H, so looking to see if we can get some retracement. After that strong push, we may only come into 1.35 and then see another drop, or we might push up higher for most of the week and tap into that consolidation around 1.56, and then we can look for entries up there. But in terms of bias, it is still short into this level here. We could go further, but again, this for me is just a massive fake move in the market. Let me just circle that. Massive fake move in the market, big drop to the downside. Like I was saying earlier, impulse in one direction followed by the impulse back in the other way. It's not a good sign. So this area here is a very critical zone, 1.51. So I wouldn't look to really push a trade past that area there. So looking for sales for pound CAD, we'll be looking at 1.53700, sorry, and 1.56. And targets back down to 1.51 for next week. Okay, so now on to pound yen. So pound yen, pretty strong move to the downside this week. Was looking for some buying opportunities here coming into this area. Looking just to see the third push to the upside. We had 1, 2, looking for a third one. 4 continuations back to highs. However, the market has had a pretty big retracement. I'm still overall bullish on pound yen here. There are some signs that the market is starting to slow down, but we still haven't snapped through any key structure. You can see our price swing high is over here. Price swing low is all the way down there. Big push phase creating that high, so I do think the buyers will most likely step back in. You can really see momentum starting to pick up again. However, I wouldn't be too greedy with the targets. We could see pricing push all the way back to highs and continue, but there are some obstacles in our way. This level here, this level there. I do think price will probably struggle around those areas. Maybe retrace, who knows? But nonetheless, great areas to take partials or just take your profits at for pound yen. But as long as we stay above 166, 165 500, which is this zone here, you can see a lot of wicks collecting around here. This is where the buyers are sitting for pound yen. I do think we can find our feet again and start to tick to the upside. So looking for some buying opportunities, retest that area there, look for next higher low potentially, and then push to the upside. I wouldn't probably push it further than the 169 mark, just to be safe, because we could still roll over and see some more downside. Pretty impulsive move here. The market may want to have a deeper correction as well. So 168, 169, great areas to take your profits at. May go higher back to highs, but we'll see if momentum continues, of course. But nonetheless, buying opportunities looking good at this area here. Another retest maybe Monday, Tuesday. Find some continuations later through the week. And looking for 169 for next week. Okay, so now on to gold. So this week, very, very bullish at the end of the week. As you can see there, big move to the upside. I was talking about price coming back down into this support, which we did see. However, we failed to break through, which is what I was also expecting price to do and come back into 1600 However, after NFP, very strong reaction and price flew to the upside there. So gold looking pretty bullish after breaking through these structural highs here. You can see the consistent lower highs the market's been printing. However, now with this push here, we've broken through that structure. So gold, I do think there's still more upside for it after this breakout. I'm going to be looking for sell opportunities still up at these areas here. That broken support there around 1704. Come back and retest it. I still do think we can see some downside. Again, with those sells, I probably won't push it too far. We could come back down to these lows, but I'd rather just take it in steps and stages and not try and look for the home run on a particular trade. Make sure I'm banking profit in. But gold, I'm looking at shorts from that 1704 area. Again, 1700 is a critical level for me for gold, which on the weekly chart, the higher time frame, was still trading below. So I still do have that sell bias for gold. If we get back above 1700, we could be looking at a huge fake out here for the market to start rallying higher. So that is on the cards, but we're not yet to see price get back above 1700. So like I said, still looking for sells on the lower time frames. I do think there'll probably be some buys to take it up into that level, start of the week, midweek, but I'll be focusing on the sells around this area here. Let me just tidy that up a little bit. So back into this area here. So still looking for that lower high to form. I'll wait for some signs of reversal. Probably won't get straight into the market there because we could rally straight through, certainly if the market gets back above 1700 on the weekly chart. But looking for sells and a move back down again, and probably just back into that prior swing high there, see what we can do from that level. But I do think a bit of correction, maybe a retest of that level, could be some nice buys to start the week off, and then we'll see what we can get around 1704. But since we're still below 1700, I still do have that bias. Break above that on the weekly, could be looking at rechanging a lot of things in my analysis for gold, but we will see what happens. Looking at 1704 for some sells, and yeah, push probably back down to 1672 for next week. Okay, now on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's still looking bullish. We did break above this, was it 20k level, 2200. Market did break above that. Slight dip underneath, bit of a fake out there in the market. Did recover that pretty aggressively. So on to the next level now for Bitcoin, which I was talking about, 21,600. We're not too far away from that level. If we break through that, I'm expecting price to come back to this swing high up there. You can see we did have all this momentum from that same point. Market could be drawn to that area there as well. So for Bitcoin, still expecting some dollar weakness, so we should see some more upside for Bitcoin. 21,600, 22,400 are looking like some great areas Bitcoin could be attracted towards. As for entries, again, buys would be really nice on the retest of this level here. 2,900, retest that area. Would expect to see some more upside for this one. Again, depending how far you want to push the trade, buys into 21,600 look good, or if you want to push it a little bit further, 22,400 look good as well. But nonetheless, we'll be expecting some more upside for Bitcoin. So keep an eye out for this 2938 level, 2100 we can call it for Bitcoin. But we're rejecting that level. We're starting to implement some higher lows into the market. So by my view of things, it looks like Bitcoin does have a lot more upside, especially if we can get to 22,400. We might even see a bigger breakout and actually look at potentially the market placing a little bit of a low here for a bigger correction higher up. So do keep that on the cards. But for now, just going to be looking at 21,600 and 22,400 for next week for Bitcoin. And now onto our bonus pair, we've got Euro AUD for this week. So if you saw earlier in the video, I was talking about USD, had a bit of a reversal for this one, and I do think Euro AUD is probably going to see some downside similar to its cousin Euro NZD as well. We're coming up into some very interesting areas here on the monthly chart, where I do think we could be printing a major lower high in the market for potentially a big move back down to support, and maybe even further into those lows there as well. So for me, Euro NZD and Euro AUD as well, which is the pair we're doing right now, is at critical areas where they could look to go a lot further and see some reversals. So for Euro AUD, looking for some sells going into next week. Do have this low here. If we can see a bit more upside, print the next major lower high on the 4H time frame, I do think some sells will look good. As for targets, looking at this area there, that price swing low at 1.518, even this area here as well, potentially depending how bearish we are. But you can see the consistent lower highs the market is printing here, so I'm expecting that theme to continue. Next low high, maybe around the 1.54200 mark. From there, we'll be looking at some sell opportunities to take it lower and then push it into 1.52. If we're lucky, maybe even 1.508. But I think personally, I'll just keep it to 1.52. Not trying to push it too far because we are a little bit corrective as well. So we do run the risk of the market snapping back up against us and maybe even into our entry price as well. So yeah, sales for USD look very good for next week. Looking to anticipate the next swing high in the market. Looking for around 1.54200, 1.54100 for the entries. Targets back down at 1.52 for next week. So yeah guys, that just about wraps up the video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it and found that useful. If you have, please be sure to hit the like button. It really does help out the channel. If you are liking the content, subscribe if you haven't done already, and hit the bell as well so you don't miss on any uploads in the future. But guys, I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll catch you all in the live streams next week. But yeah, have a great one.